Today we will learn about cerebellum. Cerebellum is present in the posterior cranial fossa. Cerebellum is present in the this is cerebrum, which is divided into four lobes. Cerebrum has four lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and this temporal lobe. Our cerebellum is present in the posterior cranial fossa behind the brain stem. Anteriorly, the brain stem is there. We know that brain stem consists of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. This is about the position of the cerebellum. Cerebellum appears to be a separate organ and tucked below the cerebrum. This is cerebellum. We know that brain stem consists of midbrain, pons, and medulla. Cerebellum develops along with pons from progencephalon, mesencephalon, and rhombencephalon. From progencephalon, telencephalon and diencephalon develops. From mesencephalon, this midbrain develops, and from rhombencephalon, pons, medulla, and cerebellum develop. Rhombencephalon is divided into metencephalon. From metencephalon, mesencephalon. From metencephalon, pons and medulla, pons and cerebellum develop. From this mesencephalon, medulla develops. This is about the development of the cerebellum. Position of cerebellum, that is in the posterior cranial fossa, posterior to the brain stem. And we know that this central nervous system is covered by three meninges. From inside to outside: pia mater, arachnoid, and dura mater. This is the dura mater I am showing. From inside to outside, dura mater is tough, and this enters into the space between the cerebrum and cerebellum, and this appears to be like a tent. This part is known as tentorium cerebelli. Okay. Now this structure, that is cerebellum. In cerebellum, grey matter is on outer side. Grey matter, that is collection of neurons, are present on the outer layer, on the outer surface. Outer layer is of grey matter. The characteristic feature of this cerebellum, there there are folia. Folia means fold of grey matter inside the fold of grey matter, which is entering into the cortex or going deep to this cerebellum. This is not dividing the cerebellum, and it is very finely adjusted like a hand fan which is collapsed on each other. And this structure, this configuration provides a large place or provide a large space for the neurons. They are folia. Now, this is divided into this cerebellum is divided into three zones: archicerebellum, anterior cerebellum, posterior cerebellum, anterior and floculo-nodular lobe. This is divided into three parts by the division of cerebellum. Cerebellum is divided into three parts. Number one, anterior, posterior and floculo-nodular lobe. Anterior and posterior lobes are separated by primary fissure. Posterior and floculo-nodular is by posterolateral fissure. This is about the division. This is primary fissure, this is posterolateral fissure. From lateral side, when we see it from lateral side, from lateral side, when we see from this is floculo-nodular and this is primary fissure. Primary fissure divides into anterior. This is posterior part, and this primary fissure. This is posterolateral fissure, and in between posterior lobe is also divided into some lobules. This is known as horizontal fissure. Primary fissure, horizontal fissure and posterolateral. Or we are concerned mainly with primary fissure, that anterior lobe, this is posterior lobe and floculo-nodular lobe. When we cut this cerebellum by two parasagittal channels, this structure is known as vermis. Vermis is so named because it appears like a worm. Vermis appears like a worm bent on itself. Incomplete bend, therefore it is known as vermis. In between, just lateral to vermis, this area. So this sagittal section divides it into central vermis, then right and left hemisphere. Right and left hemisphere. And just lateral to this vermis, there is paravermal area. This is paravermal area. This vermis and paravermal area is concerned with, this area is concerned with a spinocerebellar part, that is from the body, from the whole body, proprioceptive fibers come here. And in the anterior part, it is inverted and clear. That is inverted and clear. Means this part, that is vermis, will show the axial part, to represent the axial part, and the paravermal area will show the peripheral parts, limbs, upper limb and lower limb. In the posterior part, this is erect, but not very clear. This is representation of body. This is anterior part, and this is posterior part. The vermis will function as axial part, will work on axial part. This is the cerebellum. Now, parts of cerebellum. These parts of cerebellum, we know anterior lobe, posterior lobe, and floculo nodular lobe. Anterior lobe is also known as the spinocerebellar, neocerebellum, neocerebellum, and archicerebellum. Means archicerebellum. Means this folliculonodular lobe develops, that is primitive structure. It was first to appear, and neocerebellum is new, last to appear. This is anterior lobe, spinocerebellar, neocerebellar, and archicerebellum. This is concerned with tone and reflexes. This is coordination, work of these parts, coordination. And this is for balance and posture. This part, posterior lobe or neocerebellum, is dentate nucleus, is concerned. This is vestibular apparatus, nucleus fastigius. This is with nucleus fastigius, and this is with globus and emboliformis. That is also known as nucleus interpositor. This is the position. This is the parts of or divisions of this cerebellum. Now, histology. Histologically, this part is divided into outer cortex like structure. This is outer molecular, intermediate layer, and granular layer. In molecular layer, there are two types of cells: outer stellate cell, star shaped cells, and basket cell. These star shaped cells are on outer side, and in deep, this is basket cell. There are basket like that. And this intermediate layer consists of Purkinje cell. This layer is one cell thick only. Molecular layer, that is stellate cell and basket cell, Purkinje cell, And this granular layer consists of granular cells and Golgi cells. Granular cells and Golgi cells. Granular cells are small cells and they are numerous in number. And this is Golgi type 2 cell. Golgi type 2 cell. Type 2 cells means axons. Axons is very small. We know that there are three types of cells. Golgi 1, that is large axon. Golgi 2, a small axon, and amacrine cells. Amacrine cells do not have axons. This is the layers of 3 layers, and then there are white fibers. In the white fibers there are deep nuclei, deep cerebellar nuclei. Deep cerebellar nuclei, there are 4 in number. From lateral to medial. Laterally, this is dentate nucleus, nucleus dentatus, dentate nucleus. This is globus emboliformis, and this is fastigial nucleus. This is midline. Then again here it is this fastigial nucleus, globus, and dentate nucleus. We have learned that this dentate nucleus is concerned with neocerebellum, nucleus emboliformis, and nucleus globosus, and nucleus emboliformis, that is nucleus interpositus, is concerned with the spinocerebellum or anterior lobe, and this is concerned with fastigial nucleus, is concerned with this floculo-nodular lobe. This is the histological structure. Now we have learned that cerebellum is attached with midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata by 3 peduncles: superior cerebellar peduncle, middle cerebellar peduncle, and inferior cerebellar peduncle. Superior cerebellar peduncle, inferior cerebral peduncle, superior, inferior, and in between it is middle part. From this it is concerned with midbrain, midbrain, a middle cerebral peduncle with pons, and inferior cerebellum, inferior cerebellar peduncle with medulla oblongata. This is the now from inferior cerebellar peduncle. Inferior cerebellar peduncle is also known as rostiform body, which through which many fibers enter into the cerebellum: dorso-spinocerebellar tract, vestibulocerebellar tract, cunocerebellar tract, cranial sensory nerves. These fibers enter from the inferior cerebral peduncle. From inferior cerebral peduncle, what are the tracts? The dorsal spinocerebellar tract, vestibular spinocerebellar tract, cunocerebellar tract, and cranial sensory nerves. And this will go into the fibers emerging from the cerebellum. Fibers will go into the vestibular nucleus. Middle cerebral peduncle. Now middle cerebral peduncle. From middle cerebral peduncle is also known as bronchium pontis. The main connection is with pons. Pontocerebellar nuclei of opposite side will send afferents. Pontocerebellar nuclei of opposite side, and fibers that will leave this, it will go into the pons and medulla. Now superior cerebellar peduncle. Superior cerebellar peduncle is also known as bronchium conjunctivum. This is ventral spinocerebellar tract, tactocerebellar tract, and this olivocerebellar tract enters in through this. What are they? Ventral spinocerebellar tract, tactocerebellar tract, and olivocerebellar tract. And fibers will go into the dentatothalamic, dentatotubular of opposite side. This is the connection of this cerebellum. Now we have seen that this is concerned with a spinal cord of same side, a spinal cord of same side, ipsilateral, and cerebral cortex of opposite side, due to the fact that this is same side as cerebellar of opposite side. This is due to crossing of fiber at pontocerebellar tract, superior cerebral peduncle, and pyramidal tract, and pyramidal syndrome. This is what is cerebellar syndrome. Motor fibers will cerebellar syndrome will affect, and motor signs will appear in the same side, ipsilateral side, same side, and in pyramidal syndrome it will appear on the opposite side, as because the pyramidal tract cross to the other side at the medulla oblongata. Therefore, if this is affected, this side is affected, the motor signs will appear on the opposite side. While in cerebellar syndrome, this will affect the same side. Why so? Because there is crossing of pontocerebellar tract and superior cerebellar peduncle fiber, and again pyramidal. This is pyramidal tract crossing. This is about the structure, position, introduction. This is, we have learned about position, that is in the posterior cranial fossa, just posterior to the brain stem, position, introduction.